Hi, welcome to my channel where we talk about bikes and more. And today I'm going to be talking about commuting in Australia on a supersport bike. So I'm on a Daytona 675R 2016 and commuting to work. So I want to cover a few things. One, what is it like to commute on a sport bike? And two, which I spend most of my time talking about this, is tips on filtering, lane splitting in traffic, in like peak hour commute traffic. And in the end, I might also share another Bible verse, which is, the niche of my channel, the direction of being a faith-based motor vlog. So the first thing is, what's it like to commute on a supersport bike? And as we go further on, you'll see why I choose to commute on a sport bike. And it's because 80% or 90% of my commute is actually on the highway. But some of the annoyances are, one, the peg height, because the pegs being so high and rearward. I actually avoid putting stuff in my pockets because that helps to be able to bend my knees into a position and find the peg more quickly. So just little stuff like that you look out for. The other thing is the mirrors, and just the rear vision is not ideal on a sport bike. I've had that. Some sport bikes are better than others. This Daytona is probably one of the worst. So yeah, just that rear vision. Thirdly, maybe is the balance when you're going slow. So on a sport bike, probably can't balance as well as you could on an upright bike. But I don't know. I probably don't think that's not. I don't think it's too bad. Maybe on an upright bike it's a bit better, but I don't have much complaints on that side of things. So now I've got the sport bike stuff out of the way. The next thing I want to talk about mainly is tips on how to lane split and filter when you're commuting. I'm going to give a list of 4 points. I'm going to order that list in the safest scenario of lane splitting in order down to the most dangerous. So it's in ordered from safest to moderate and then most dangerous situation or scenario in lane splitting. And what I find odd is I can see some people who actually see my list, my hierarchy of safest to unsafest, and actually have it flipped around. So they think, what I consider the safest, they seem to think it's the most unsafe, it's the most dangerous, and what I would consider the most dangerous, I can see a few people would, do that in a way that they have a complete disregard for safety. Even their positioning, they just really seem to not know what they're doing and really have a disregard to how dangerous this situation actually is. So I'll give you that list. So the first scenario is when you're lane splitting, when both lanes that you're splitting in between are stationary, they're not moving. Maybe there's like a red light, or maybe there's just a lot of traffic, and traffic is banked up and stopped. And to me, that is the most comfortable lane splitting that I do, that I would consider. And you know, none of the cars are moving, and you're just sort of riding in between. Now, I see a lot of people, and I can tell that they're new riders, or they don't, you know, they're just not that good. They don't have much experience, and they're coming in, and they're lane as they're coming to lane split between stationary traffic. You know, they're coming, they're rev bombing, and they're doing things to make people aware. Like you don't need to do that. Like, the cars are stuck in traffic. They're not moving. They can't do anything to you unless they want to. I don't know. Maybe they want to smash their car against the car beside them. They can't do anything. So I've seen that a couple of times. You know, people coming through. No cars are moving. They're just lane splitting in between, and they're sitting there rev bombing, saying, "Hey, look, I'm here. Watch out." Well, you don't need to rev bomb. The second scenario, I would still consider safe. I'm pretty comfortable doing it. Is when the cars are moving, but both lanes are moving at around the same pace, around the same speed, and they're moving slowly. So in Australia, you're allowed to lane split. Your maximum speed is, I think, 30 kilometers an hour, which I don't know how much that is in miles. Maybe 18 something. And so to me, lane splitting, I'm quite comfortable lane splitting when cars are, say, going 20k, I'm going 30, maybe I go a little faster, 35, but both lanes are going the same speed, and that's the critical point. So to me, obviously it's a little bit more dangerous than the cars being stationary, but still pretty safe, relatively safe. There's nothing they can cars can do unexpectedly, really. The only time is when a gap opens up, a space opens up, and the people in the car want to take that. And that's kind of what you have to look out for. The third one, which is sort of on the danger side of things, is when one lane is going really slow or stopped, and the other lane is going a lot faster, and there's like a big speed difference there. So not so like the second scenario where they're both moving. So unlike the second scenario where cars are unlikely to want to do something unpredictable, like, you know, cross your path or switch lanes, in this scenario they probably are likely to want to switch lanes because everyone wants to get into the faster lane. So when you've got a speed differential, you just need to be extra careful. When you've got one lane going slow and the other lane going quite a bit faster, maybe 30k's difference, 40k's difference, it's quite a dangerous scenario. I think I get nervous in that situation. And the last point, which I would consider the most dangerous, is when one lane has come to a slow down or a complete stop, and the other lane is just free, wide open, with no cars in it. I would consider that to be a very dangerous situation and scenario. And like I said at the beginning, people have this danger hierarchy flipped around. I see a lot of riders who treat that situation as, you know, they come into that situation with a lack of caution. But to me, that is the most dangerous situation. Because, for one, there's a massive speed differential. So, if you're riding, and this is just a general tip, don't make a big speed differential between the lane next to you. Don't make a massive speed difference. If the speed of the street or the road is 70, right, and the lane beside you is stopped or slowing down, and and your lane is open, you don't need to drive 70, you don't need to drive the speed limit. Drop your speed down. Make your speed differential safer. And the other thing is why it's dangerous is sometimes you're in the slow lane, it slows down quickly, and you want to quickly change to the empty lane, but sometimes there's no time to react and see who's actually coming down. Maybe there's a car barreling down in the fast lane, and because they're moving so fast, even when you look in the mirror, they weren't there when you looked, but when you change, maybe they can come up right behind you. So just watch out for that. The other thing is the positioning in that scenario. I see a lot of people who think the safest position is as far away from the cars as possible, but what happens there is a lot of time, and I've actually seen this happen, is the people in the slow lane can't see you. The people in the slow lane can't see the bike because the bike's all the way over. So what I tend to do is my strategy is, I actually drive close to the cars. So I position myself closer to the cars in the slow lane. I slow down, so my speed difference isn't that big. So one, I'm not going so fast, so there's a big chance they'll see me in the mirror. And two, I'm positioned where they can see me in the mirror. And I think there's just less likely for something to go wrong. And even if something does go wrong, hopefully you're not, if someone does jump out in front of you, hopefully you're not going that fast. You're not going, 70 the speed limit while they're going 10. And you'll be able to just sort of swerve to the side of the lane, or maybe stop. And also, if you're not going that fast and you do hit, well, you're not going that fast, so it won't be as bad as just crashing into them at, the speed limit of the street or faster. So yeah, they're the list of hierarchy of lane splitting, from safest to most dangerous in my opinion. And this is my opinion, you can do your own research. This is my years of experience. This is what I think. If you disagree, let me know why, and I'm sure we can come to some consensus. Other general tips about riding in traffic and lane splitting is don't lane split between trucks. You can't afford for something to go wrong when there's a truck next to you. There's no chances. Just stay behind the truck. Wait for maybe there's a gap to open up in the lane beside you, and just drive past the truck in that other lane. Just be patient. I don't recommend lane splitting next to big trucks. Maybe if they're not moving and they're not going to move, maybe you can do it. But the most dangerous, scary situations is when they're not moving, you're halfway lane splitting next to a big truck, and then they start moving. So you want to make sure you don't get into that situation. The other thing about lane splitting in general is you don't have to lane split all the time. Like, I remember my riding instructor when I first was learning to ride, and he's been riding, he was sort of an older guy, he's been riding his whole life, does track days, like, full on into his riding, and he's like, sometimes I just can't be bothered to lane split or filter. So you don't need to you don't need to prove anything by lane splitting at every opportunity. Just pick which way you want to lane split. Maybe it's too tight, or maybe you just can't be bothered, or maybe the road surface is not good, and sometimes the road surface can sort of kick you out of your line. And the other thing, the biggest advantage of riding in traffic is not actually lane splitting or filtering, and the biggest advantage what I find is something that even where countries where it's not legal to lane split, they can still take this advantage, and that is you ride on the edge of your lane, which is similar to lane splitting. So you sort of ride down the middle, but you're still in your lane. So you're just slightly off the center of the two lanes, and this allows you to quickly change lanes. And I find that in a car, people can't really do that in a car. They can't change lanes as quick as if you were positioned sort of towards the middle of the lane. You're not lane splitting, you're still behind your car, the other car, sorry. You're still behind the other car, and you just have an opportunity to quickly change lane if your lane slows down, and of course carefully looking in your mirror for other cars. I find that, strictly speaking, that's not lane splitting, but that's the biggest advantage of really sort of getting ahead in traffic when you're commuting. So do your own research, take everything I say with a grain of salt, and use your common sense, but that's just some things that I've come up with. Another general tip is don't get angry. So a lot of people do stupid things. Like I remember, recently I was just driving behind another car, and we were both doing speed limit about 100, and I was, you're supposed to have a 3-second gap between the car in front of you. That's the safe limit, and I had maybe a 2-second gap or a 1.5-second gap, which is still like 10 or 15 meters, right? And so my gap was already kind of narrow, and there was someone behind me who was just tailgating me, driving right up close behind me, and then they erratically just changed lane and overtake me and go right in front of me. So they insisted they needed to be 2 meters away from the car in front of them, driving 100 kilometers an hour, which is about 60 miles. And see that people do stupid things like that, and it makes you angry. But don't get angry. There's a verse in the Bible. We'll share a Bible verse, and it says that a fool shows his anger. A fool shows his anger immediately, but a wise man overlooks an insult. So a fool shows his anger right away, but a wise man overlooks an insult. So don't be a fool. When someone does you and overtakes you and cuts you off, it doesn't prove anything. That's kind of like an insult. But a fool gets angry straight away, but a wise man overlooks an insult. And that's in Proverbs chapter 12, verse 16. So that's all I've got for you today. That's how you ride in traffic. And if you like this content, please subscribe and like, and leave comments. Really helps to get my channel, gives a boost to my channel. And take it easy and ride safe.